Our protagonist, Takumi Iruma, truly has the worst luck. Just as he was about to be promoted to warlord, he was suddenly enveloped by a mysterious light. When he regained consciousness, the goddess Nolan informed him that he had been reincarnated into Midgard due to a summoning spell from another world. Nolan apologized and explained that Takumi had unfortunately been caught in a summoning ritual intended for someone else. Summoning from another world randomly pulls individuals from countless worlds. Although Takumi had been removed from the selection list, the spell still managed to pick him. This summoning spell was extremely dangerous and had the potential to destroy Midgard. For that reason, it had been banned. And yet, that damned nation still recklessly carried it out. When Nolan discovered the situation, she intervened as quickly as she could, but she was too late to stop it entirely. Nolan revealed that the other summoned individuals had safely arrived at the summoning location, the Holy Empire of Sidonia. Only Takumi was left stranded here. Hearing this, Takumi asked the goddess if she could send him back to his original world. But sadly, that wasn't possible. Angry at their audacity, Nolan had sealed the summoning spell completely, ensuring they could never use that forbidden magic again. This also meant that Takumi could no longer return to his old world. Moreover, he no longer had a physical body to return to, a negative side effect of being removed from the summoning list. However, Nolan reassured Takumi not to worry and suggested he give up on the past and try living as a resident of Midgard. As an apology, she would grant him the goddess's blessing. Takumi felt more anxious than excited upon hearing this, but with no other choice, he reluctantly agreed. Following Nolan's instructions, Takumi opened his status board. His name remained unchanged, his age reverted to 17, and his occupation was still blank. Since there were no salaried jobs in Midgard, Nolan introduced several combat-related professions, including swordsman, mage, knight, thief, and hunter. Not fond of fighting, Takumi asked the goddess to choose a crafting profession for him so he could live a peaceful life. Hearing this, Nolan combined a bunch of magic and skills into a crystal and forcibly shoved it into Takumi, causing his head to throb in pain. Before he could even process what was happening, the goddess threw him straight onto the continent of Asgard. The first thing Takumi did after waking up was check his appearance. After confirming he still looked handsome, he felt reassured and was able to let go of his past. Next, he inspected his inventory and found some food, money, and a few other supplies. Upon reopening his status board, Takumi saw that he had gained many skills and magic spells. To avoid attracting attention, he hid the goddess's blessing and his item box skill. Curious to see if he could actually cast magic, Takumi decided to try it out. Afraid of causing a forest fire with a flame spell, he tested water ball, rock ball, and wind cutter instead. All of them were a success, leaving him thrilled. While wandering around looking for shelter, Takumi stumbled upon a peculiar tree. Using his appraisal skill, he identified it as Trent wood, a high-quality material harvested from the Trent monster, commonly used to craft magic staves, magical items for mages, and poleaxes. Trent wood was a highly valuable resource. Upon reading this, Takumi suddenly came up with an interesting idea: to use his blacksmithing skills to craft a poleaxe. The result was an overwhelming success, far exceeding his expectations. Thinking that if there was such valuable wood in this forest, the other plants might also have useful properties, Takumi decided to use his appraisal skill on the surrounding trees. As expected, he discovered a treasure trove of medicinal herbs and poisonous plants. Excited by his findings, Takumi gathered as much as he could. But there was too much to fit into his bag. At that moment, he suddenly remembered his item box skill, a special ability granted by the goddess Nolan. It provided infinite storage capacity, automatic sorting, and time stabilization. Takumi quickly stored all the herbs into the item box and silently thanked goddess Nolan for this incredible gift. Just as he was about to continue his journey, a young girl suddenly ran toward him, pleading for help. Chasing after her was a massive horned rabbit with a ferocious expression. Nothing like the cute rabbits from his old world. Seeing the horned rabbit ready to charge, Takumi quickly grabbed his poleaxe to prepare for battle. What he thought would be a tough fight ended shockingly fast. With just one casual swing of his poleaxe, Takumi managed to take down the beast. He felt a strong sense of pride, believing it to be the blessing of goddess Nolan, and expressed his gratitude. However, the truth was that it was all just a coincidence. Such trivial matters hadn't even crossed the goddess's mind. In the midst of his joy, Takumi unexpectedly received the hero profession, something he had absolutely no desire for. Upon asking, he learned that the girl's name was Molly, from a nearby village called Board. She had been gathering medicinal leaves when she got lost in the forest. Hearing this, Takumi offered to accompany her back to the village, and Molly happily agreed. That meant he wouldn't have to sleep outdoors tonight. Before leaving, Molly suggested that Takumi take the horned rabbit with him, mentioning how delicious its meat was. Without giving it much thought, Takumi stored the rabbit in his item box. It wasn't until Molly praised him for being such a skilled and capable big brother that he realized something crucial. Even if the skill was hidden on the status board, using it would still reveal its existence. Meanwhile, back in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, the 3 other individuals who had been summoned, as mentioned by Goddess Nolan, were just as bewildered as Takumi had been. Clueless about their current situation. At that moment, a voice suddenly echoed, welcoming the brave heroes. The speaker introduced herself as Elizabeth, the first empress of the Holy Empire of Sidonia. She thanked the 3 of them for answering the call of the summoning spell and expressed her hope that they would use their heroic powers to save this world. Akane's surprise only deepened when the system notified her that she had acquired the perception skill. It was a blessing from Goddess Nolan, allowing her to make the right decisions by following her instincts. Her instincts immediately warned her not to trust Elizabeth. The woman was extremely dangerous. Back in Board Village, after learning that Takumi had saved their daughter, Molly's parents expressed their heartfelt gratitude. They also praised him for being so young yet capable of traveling far and wide to collect materials, calling him truly impressive. Seizing the opportunity, Takumi asked if he could stay in the village for a while. Of course, they agreed enthusiastically. After all, this region was famous for its abundance of medicinal ingredients. There was even a nearby ore mine, a paradise for crafters. Benga introduced the man next to him as Bobon, the village's blacksmith, who was very knowledgeable about ore mining. They told Takumi he could stay as long as he wanted, which made him very happy. Since there was no inn in Board Village, they decided to build Takumi his own house. Not long after, the villagers gathered at an empty plot of land to start construction. Takumi offered to help by using magic to level the ground. However, the spell consumed so much mana that it gave him a pounding headache. To make matters worse, it left the villagers utterly shocked. They had no idea Takumi could use magic. And so, Takumi's new life began, and it didn't seem too bad at all. With his woodworking, blacksmithing, and carpentry skills, Takumi managed to craft a set of furniture. However, he disliked having the professions of hero and mage. Wanting to focus on crafting, he switched to alchemist and blacksmith, the paths he truly desired. After spending some time mining with Bobon, Takumi collected iron, silver, and copper ores. Most notably, he found magical iron ore, a rare material infused with mana. Takumi planned to turn these ores into metal ingots for future use. Normally, one would need a large furnace to melt them, but this was a fantasy world. Alchemy would suffice. Alchemy in this world involved 5 core techniques. 1. Decomposition. 2. Extraction. 3. Crushing. 4. Synthesis. 5. Reconstruction. Takumi started by extracting iron ore and combining it with earth magic. The process consumed a great deal of mana, but he succeeded in creating an iron ingot. Overjoyed, he eagerly continued extracting other metal ores. That afternoon, Molly brought him food but was horrified to find Takumi collapsed on the ground, his body weak and withered. Realizing that Takumi had overexerted himself out of excitement, Martha scolded him fiercely. After receiving a recovery potion from Benga, Takumi resumed his alchemy work tirelessly. However, he made sure to slow down whenever Martha and Molly came by for their routine check-ins. After days of hard work, Takumi successfully extracted iron, silver, copper, magical iron, a small amount of gold. He used these metals to craft tools and various other items. In his free time, Takumi helped Bobon at the blacksmith shop. With Takumi's fire magic, Bobon forged the finest item he had ever crafted. Takumi's blacksmithing skill skyrocketed to level 40 in the process. After leaving the blacksmith shop, Takumi asked Benga for a few potions. He wanted to study them and find a way to recreate them. Benga happily agreed and even told Takumi to sell him some once he was done. Upon returning home, Takumi immediately began working on potion making. He crushed hilkic herbs and mixed them with magic-infused water, stirring until the color changed. However, the final mixture looked completely different from the potion Benga had given him, and it contained mana. Although he didn't understand why this happened, Takumi's curiosity was piqued. This only made him more eager to learn and experiment with other potion recipes. The next day, Takumi ventured into the forest and began consuming various poisonous plants to boost his status resistances and improve his light magic skills. Although his healing purification, and recovery abilities could save him from death. They couldn't eliminate the pain caused by the toxins. As the saying goes, when it rains, it pours. Just as Takumi started to feel a little better, a massive armored boar suddenly appeared behind him. His instincts screamed danger, but it was too late to run. He had no choice but to fight. The armored boar's hide was incredibly tough. Neither Takumi's weapons nor his magic could wound it. To make matters worse, a wounded poisonous spider emerged from the bushes behind him. Takumi braced himself for another attack, but to his surprise, the spider didn't target him. Instead, it threw itself in front of him to protect him, only to collapse moments later. Now left alone to face the armored boar again, Takumi was in a dire situation. In that life or death moment, he unexpectedly acquired the intuition skill. Trusting his newfound instinct, he risked using alchemy's decomposition ability to attack the armored boar. To his relief, the gamble paid off. The boar was defeated. As a bonus, Takumi gained 2 additional skills: martial arts and magic combat. With the battle over, Takumi hurried over to check on the poisonous spider. Seeing it on the brink of death, he used his healing ability to save it. Once it was fully healed, Takumi was about to walk away when the system unexpectedly prompted him. Greater than, you have gained the taming skill. Do you wish to tame the poisonous spider? Takumi hesitated, but when he saw the spider's 8 hopeful eyes staring at him, he couldn't say no. And so, he decided to tame the spider, naming it Kaide, after the maple leaf-like pattern on its back. The moment he finished naming it, Kaide suddenly evolved into a venomous widow, a rare variant of the poisonous spider. Its missing leg also regenerated, leaving Takumi stunned. When Takumi returned to the village carrying the armored boar's carcass, everyone was astonished, but their shock turned to fear when they noticed the giant spider behind him. Takumi quickly reassured them, "Don't worry, she's a tamed monster." Everyone knew that taming insect-type monsters was supposed to be impossible. Yet, Takumi had managed it. "That's amazing," they exclaimed. That evening, the villagers held a feast to celebrate Takumi's victory. Benga collected the boar's leather, tusks, and leftover hide and handed them over to Takumi. He also advised Takumi that if he ever visited the city, he could sell the leftover materials there. Curious, Takumi asked, "What's the nearest big city called?" "Bolton," Benga replied. "It takes about 4 days by carriage." Bobon remarked that the village had become much livelier since Takumi arrived. Benga agreed but added that Takumi didn't seem like the type to stay in a small village forever. Meanwhile, in the divine realm, Goddess Nolan continued to observe Takumi closely, praising him for doing an excellent job. At that moment, another goddess appeared and asked Nolan what she hoped to achieve with Takumi. After all, Nolan had given him a special body, her blessings, and, most significantly, sent him back 1 whole year before the Holy Sidonia Empire initiated their summoning ritual. But Nolan simply smiled and said, "Nothing special."